California Senator Dianne Feinstein worked for more than a year to get the assault weapons bill passed in the face of ferocious opposition from the National Rifle Association. She says she got the best she could.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
And I know the sense of helplessness that people feel. I know the urge to arm yourself, because that's what I did. I was trained in firearms. I'd walk to the hospital when my husband was sick. I carried a concealed weapon.
All right, so I don't want any misunderstanding when y'all go home and you're talking to your buddies and they say, he wants to take my gun away. You've heard it here. I'm on television, so everybody knows it. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in people's lawful right to bear arms. I will not take your shotgun away. I will not take your rifle away. I won't take your handgun away.
One other issue that is of great importance here in the district as well is gun control. You said in Idaho recently, quoting here, I have no intention of taking away folks' guns. But you support the D.C. handgun ban, and you said that it's constitutional. How can you reconcile those two different issues?
So that they'll see these ads and they'll be grabbed by these ads. I've also asked people who have influence over youngsters, entertainers, athletes, to be involved in this program as well. But not only them, community leaders, Jesse Jackson, Mayor Barry, people who have credibility with young people should be on the television, on the radio, as much as we possibly can, and telling these youngsters that it's wrong to carry a gun, and that if you have information about people who are carrying guns, you've got to share that with Chief Thomas and with his people as well. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
New documents obtained by CBS News show Attorney General Eric Holder was sent briefings on the controversial Fast and Furious operation as far back as July 2010. That directly contradicts his statement to Congress. Listen to what Holder told a Judiciary Committee hearing on May 3rd this year.
I'm not sure the exact date, but I probably heard about Fast and Furious for the first time over the last few weeks.
Yet internal Justice Department documents show that at least 10 months before that hearing, Holder began receiving frequent memos discussing Fast and Furious. In Fast and Furious, ATF agents allegedly allowed thousands of weapons to cross the border and fall into the hands of Mexican drug cartels. It's called Letting Guns Walk, and it remained secret to the public until Border Patrol agent Brian Terry was murdered last December. 2 guns from Fast and Furious were found at the scene, and ATF agent John Dodson blew the whistle on the operation.
New documents indicate that the ATF used Fast and Furious to justify more gun regulation. Now, as you guys know, we're in favor of more gun regulation, except if this is really the case and Fast and Furious was supposed to be used as a justification for gun regulation, the Obama administration has no idea what it's doing.
No, it's nonsense, okay? Now, you remember in the Fast and Furious program, they sold all these guns to the Mexican drug cartels, and then they were supposed to track them, and then oopsie-doopsie, they lost track of them. And then it had terrible consequences, because then they wound up using those guns to kill some of our agents. Oh, what a disaster. It's a horrible program, terribly run, right? And now they're turning around and saying, you see how easy it is to get guns? Yeah, that's because you sold it to him.
John Dodson, a federal agent, says what he was asked to do was beyond belief.
You were intentionally letting guns go to Mexico.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, the agency was.
An alcohol, tobacco, and firearms senior agent assigned to this Phoenix office since 2010, Dodson's job is to stop gun trafficking across the border. Instead, he says he was ordered to sit by and watch it happen.
So the question here, did the feds have another motive as part of the reason for pushing Fast and Furious, even after they started to lose control of the program? Well, documents obtained by CBS News show that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF, discussed using their covert operation, Fast and Furious, to argue for controversial new rules about gun sales. So here's what you need to know. These repeated gun sales that the ATF is so worried about preventing were only happening with Fast and Furious because the feds were forcing gun dealers to sell those rifles. Is it any wonder that the American people can't trust Washington?
Well, he is actively supportive of, for example, Senator Feinstein's stated intent to revive a piece of legislation that would reinstate the assault weapons ban. He supports and would support legislation that addresses the problem of the so-called gun show loophole.
For an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.